Well, at least my college teams and my fantasy football team is actually doing pretty nicely. My professional sports teams are just ass. I mean, at least I'm going to be having a winning record of fantasy football for right now because I'll be 6-5. But I'm basically just like 2 or 3 losses away from missing the playoffs for, I don't even know, like a 6th straight year. Just been a rough season for the Falcons, man. And that's our 5th loss in a row after starting 3-2, and I don't think Raheem Morris is being fired anytime soon. Or Zach Robinson, for that matter. Just a rough time to be a Falcons fan. You know what's even worse? The fact that my AFC team I support is the Titans. You guys want proof? There you go. Literally got this at a Titans game like a couple years ago. You know, when they still had Derrick Henry. Oh yeah, and the Titans fired their coach and their new one is not any better. So pretty much the NFL for me is just pain. But I gotta smile through all of it because it will eventually get better. I hope. Let's land the move up a bit and move on to college football for this one. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. I'm the Grizz, and ladies and gentlemen, we got Week 12 college football reactions, and we'll have some Week 13 predictions, along with reacting to the AP poll. As always, I'll leave the Season 2 playlist in the description, so you go check that out, so you can view every episode, so you're all caught up, and you also have it for future episodes. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm streaming an NCAA Football 2004 National Championship game on my Twitch, so go tune in 6 p.m. Eastern for that. Also, don't forget to hit the red subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. Helps the channel a lot. Without further delay, let's go react to some Week 12 games, shall we? Yes, there were some games on Friday night with ranked teams. I'm not going to be discussing Oregon, Minnesota because that was an absolute disaster of a game, as in a demolition derby. We're going to a game where Louisville almost brought the Clemson Tigers to 4-6, but penalties and missed field goals completely screwed them over. So Clemson won 2019 to go to 5-5. The worst part about this game was that Cade Klubnik didn't even play that good. 22-34, 187 yards. Usher fumbled the ball one time. But shout out to Adam Randall with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, losing Bryant Wesco on the receiving core really hurt this team by like probably a medium-sized margin. The fact that this defense actually played well despite getting 1 sack, since, you know, they were able to hold Louisville to a couple of field goals, which 2 of them were missed, is actually pretty impressive. Miller Moss had a solid game through the air, 212 yards, 19-27. Also ran for a touchdown with K1 Brown, 15 carries for 135 yards. Oh, yeah, and Colin Lacey also threw a touchdown. Nate Kuriski with the only score. Chris Bell, 5 catches, 79 yards. Pretty good stuff on the offensively. Single sack, single turnover forced by the Louisville defense. Gurad recovered a fumble, forced by Antonio Watts. But like I said earlier, penalties at the end of the 4th quarter and 2 missed field goals by 2 kickers for Louisville was the entire difference in the game. Now you see why people put a lot of pressure on pro kickers than college kickers because, well, I think you know by now. It's experience with kicking field goals, to be fair. Next up, we had the college game day where Notre Dame completely dismantled Pitt 37-15. I'm very sure Pittsburgh scored a touchdown, but then, yeah, Notre Dame actually recovered a extra point and got it for 2 points, I think. Oh, no, sorry, that was an earlier play, but touchdown was scored, like, at the very end. CJ Carr had a solid day through the air, 2 touchdowns, 212 yards, 2 interceptions, also ran for a touchdown, and Jeremiah Love, absolute beast, 150 yards and a score. Malachi Fields had a breakout game with 7 catches for 99 and a 2 touchdown game. Really good defensive game for the Irish, 4 total sacks, including 2 from Josh Burnham, a pick 6 by Tay Johnson. You can't get any better than that. Yeah, in the 3rd quarter, there was a pick 6 by Pittsburgh's defense, and there was also a 2-point conversion by the defense. It was a pick 2 by Aiden Schuler. I can't believe Eli Holstein was benched, but Heinschel threw an interception, did not have a great game passing the ball, and Holstein, he did throw a touchdown, but wasn't much better. Running definitely didn't help at all either. Only a single sack for the Pitt defense, but 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 by Rasheem Biles. Like I mentioned before, just a dominant game for the Irish. And I heard a headline that the Miami Notre Dame should be canceled. No, timing of losses is extremely important. That's why Notre Dame's ranked ahead right now. Oh yeah, and the Irish only lost to the A&M Aggies by 1 point. The same amount of points that Texas A&M beat South Carolina by, because they were down 30-3 in the first half and then scored 28 unanswered. Damn, South Carolina was just so ass. Like, North Sellers went from throwing 180 yards and 2 touchdowns and interception in the first half to throw for 60 yards in the second half. And Marcel Reed had 140 passing yards and 2 interceptions in the first half. Then he goes out there, throws almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half. How does that happen? Oh yeah, by the way, in the first half, Nick Harper and Fadrevius Jacobs got touchdowns, so at least that was cool. Defense did amazing in the first half, by the way, including 2 picks from Makari Swain, and of course, they crumbled in the second half. Rushing game for A&M was horrible, besides the E.J. Smith touchdown, and then you had 200-yard receivers for A&M. Case Simpson, I'm now starting to figure that out. 7 catches, 158 yards. Ashton Beth Roman, 4 for 139 and a touchdown. Other touchdowns went to Isaiah Williams and Nate Borkerker. Defense absolutely stepped up in the second half, getting 4 sacks and also an interception from Dalton Brooks. Don't forget 2 missed field goals by A&M's kicker. Could have had the game changed, but of course, South Carolina's ass. And yes, this is the first comeback since 2003 from 27+ points. Texas A&M, you escaped again. Here was also our big noon kickoff, which almost resulted in an upset. Michigan on the road against Northwestern, winning on a game-winning field goal 24-22. Some credit to Bryce, even though not a whole lot, because he did throw no touchdowns, 280 yards and 2 picks. Did run for a touchdown, but Jordan Marshall, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, MVP of the offense. And Andrew Marsh had a Jamar Chase kind of game with 12 catches for 189 yards. Defense didn't do much until the end of the game, where they were able to stop Northwestern and set themselves up for a game-winning field goal. I was honestly shocked to see that he made it after he missed his first 2 tries. Dominic Savada, man, you clutched up when you needed to, so bravo. As for Northwestern, Preston Stone was okay, 184 yards passing, did run for a touchdown along with Caleb Komalafe. I don't know much about what Northwestern football, to be quite fair with you. Defense did its sting until the end of the game. Fitzgerald with a pick, Braden Turner with a pick, 3 total sacks. Like, they had everything they needed to pull this upset. It just didn't happen. Oh yeah, Northwestern came back, so they actually took the lead in the 4th quarter, but then of course Michigan had to pull out their bag of tricks and make a field goal with a kicker who was 0-2 before. Another escape, Michigan. Now we go to our first upset, where the number 24 South Florida Bulls lose on the road against Navy, 41-38. This also knocked South Florida out of the Group of 5 race for the playoff spot. Byron Brown was an absolute beast per usual, 460 total yards, 4 total touchdowns, did throw a pick though, and Nakahi Dalvinport threw a touchdown also. Jeremiah Coger led receiver with 9 catches for 112 and a touchdown. Other touchdowns went to Keyshawn Singleton and Moodia Rubin. The biggest issue with this game? South Florida's defense. It was awful. You're telling me North Texas just not the option, but y'all can't? Blake Fortvath was okay on the passing game, but that's not their strong suit. It's always the run game, and my goodness, it tore through the Bulls defense. 4 rushing touchdowns, I would say, like about over 300 rushing yards. Hey, that's kind of like the Falcons defense against Jonathan Taylor. Okay, I'll stop. Alex Texa, I think, ran for a touchdown, also caught a touchdown, but Eli Heinrich, I think, broke the all-time receiving yards record for Navy players, I think. So, nice job, man. Defense really didn't do that much either, but Philip Hamilton got an interception, a single sack. Yeah, and Navy just outscored them. Could we see Navy in their 2nd ever American Conference Championship and maybe win it? I guess we'll see. Up next is our 2nd ranked versus ranked matchup, where 21st ranked Iowa loses to 17th ranked USC 26-21. Iowa was up 21-10 at halftime and just never scored in the second half. After that first half, I thought it was just going to be the same old shit, but USC adjusted their defense. If we know a thing or two about Iowa, is that they are just the run-first offense. They are just never great at passing. I mean, the passing was combined for 2 touchdowns and a pick, though, so it honestly wasn't as bad as I thought. Gronowski had 2 total touchdowns, including 1 on the ground. Oh yeah, this man had 1 passing, 1 rushing, and 1 receiving touchdown. What the heck is that? Defense was solid in the first half, but then the second half came and they just couldn't answer. USC never gave up. Jada Maeva had 250 yards and a touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns for Brian Jackson, Keem Miller with 4.4 yards a carry. And Mekhi Lemon, as always, carries the receiving core with 10 catches, 153 yards, and a score. First half was pretty ugly for the USC defense, but then the second half they allowed 0 points, and they also got an interception from Jakeem Stewart. Defense wins championships, and second half defense wins you big games, and USC, you proved that in this game. We now move on to our third ranked versus ranked matchup where Oklahoma beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa 23-21. First home loss for Alabama in over 2 years. I mean, offense was okay. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world. John Mateer rushing touchdown, didn't do great on the passing game. It was pretty much all defense for the Sooners. I think it was a pick 6 by Eli Bowen. Yes, it was. And they also forced 3 fumbles and recovered 2 of them. And also 3 field goals for Tate Sandell. That was a big difference in this game, too. Since Daniel Hill, the rushing attack, decided to come along with 2 touchdowns. Ty Simpson, 1 touchdown. Also, obviously, threw the pick 6, like we mentioned before. And the touchdown actually went to Josh Cuevas, the tight end. And Ryan Williams, 3 catches for 45 yards. Bama was in the game the whole time, but bad mistakes and turnovers pretty much cost them any shot of beating the Sooners. Good win, Oklahoma. And in our final ranked versus ranked matchup, we have the Georgia Bulldogs dominating the Texas Longhorns 35-10 to go to 3-0 against Texas ever since the Longhorns joined the SEC. Pertaining to the circumstances he was in, Arch Manning didn't even do that bad. 251 yards through 43 times, completed 27 passes, a touchdown and an interception. Of course, rushing game didn't help him at all. Only touchdown went to Ryan Wingo, and yeah, he had a couple of good receivers as well, including Emmett Mosley and DeAndre Moore. 2 sacks by the defense, and also an interception by Anthony Hill, but yeah, it's tough to stop Georgia's ground and pound and chew the clock offense. Gunnar Stockton, surgeon, 24-29, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick, also ran for a touchdown. 1 touchdown for Lawson Lucky, a touchdown for London Humphreys, and 2 touchdowns for Noah Thomas. Whoa. Georgia defense ended up with 3 sacks and an interception by K.J. Bolden. They did just enough to ensure that Texas would just not be able to score. Dominated on both sides and now pressured the top 3, especially Texas A&M. As much as I want to see Georgia lose, it was a good win regardless. And of course I have to talk about this game. BYU dominates TCU, get their first win against the Horned Frogs since 2007. Almost 2 decades it took to beat them. And all it took was a dual-threat quarterback and an outstanding defense. Only 1 touchdown scored by the offense, and that was from John Denman on the ground. And Josh Hoover, yikes, rough game for him. 2 interceptions, 183 yards, completed less than 50% of his passes too. I mean, at least Eric McAllister was nice. Bear Bauer didn't need to do too much in the passing game. He was pretty surgical, 300 yards, touchdown, 23 of 33. Also ran for a touchdown alongside Parker Kingston and LJ Martin. Track star got 5 catches for 80 yards. Carson Ryan had the only receiving touchdown in this game as well. But the real X factor was our defense. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. It was just a nightmare for Josh Hoover. Oh yeah, and Tanner Wall got a pick 6. This was a great bounce-back game after our humiliating loss against Texas Tech and Lubbock. Only 2 games to go. Up next is the Cincinnati Bearcats. A big noon kickoff. Wanted to talk about one more game before I head into the AP poll reactions and predictions for Week 13. Georgia Tech nearly lost to a 1-win Boston College team, 36-34. BC was actually up 28-17 at the end of the 3rd quarter, and they just choked. Bill O'Brien, you're out here choking leads like you never left Houston. Haynes King tore it up in the passing game with 371 yards in his touchdown pass, 3 rushing touchdowns, and surprisingly not from Haynes King. Also 200-yard receivers, and Malik Rutherford with 5 for 121 and a touchdown, and Eric Rivers with 7 for 119. As for Boston College, Dylan Lonergan also tore it up in the passing game with 362 yards and 2 touchdowns. Turbo Richard, 2 touchdowns, kicking into Turbo Boost with 141 yards as well. Jordan McDonald also got a touchdown, and Boston College also had 200-yard receivers. Reed Harris, Lewis Bond combined for 13 catches, almost 250 yards and a touchdown. And Trzynski also got a receiving touchdown. What a comeback for Georgia Tech, but man, that was a lot closer than we would have thought. Get it together, Mr. Key. And here is the Week 13 AP poll. First up, before we go to predictions, let's take a look at every team here. Top 5, honestly, okay. I mean, Ole Miss did survive against Florida. And I think Texas Tech probably should crack the top 5, but that's just me. As far as what's going on around in this part, tie between Texas Tech and Oregon is a little ridiculous. Oklahoma is at 8, that's fine. Notre Dame being ahead of Alabama, though? I know they got 2 losses, but yeah, I guess the timing of the loss really does matter, doesn't it? 11 to 15, of course, BYU, Vandy, Utah, Miami, Georgia Tech. Again, Georgia Tech has 1 loss, Miami has 2. Yeah, nuts, so fast there. Yeah, Miami's 5th in the ACC standings, and yet they're the highest ranked team in the AP poll right now, out of the ACC. Seriously, doesn't make any sense. Because if SMU wins, they're in over Miami. If Virginia and Georgia Tech win, Miami's not going to the ACC championship. Anyways, moving on, USC 16. Texas being ahead of Michigan and Virginia is really ridiculous. You know, they have 3 losses. Virginia has, I think they have 2. Yes, Michigan has 2 as well. Tennessee's just in at 20 for shits and giggles. JMU 21, Missouri 23, Tulane 24, Houston 25. I do agree with those 4. But this AP poll was extremely important in my eyes because for the first time in 66 years, North Texas at 22 is ranked in the AP poll. 1959 was the last appearance of the Mean Green, used to be called the Eagles at the time, in the AP poll at 16. Feels great to support the Mean Green of North Texas and Denton. Let's just hope they'll win their first conference title since I believe 2004. Keep on going, Mean Green. We're all cheering for you. Now onto the ranked matchups. Noon on ABC, we got Missouri going to Norman to play the Sooners. I'm going Oklahoma here. They have just proven time and time and again that they got a really good defense. Offense could maybe use some work, but they have enough tools on defense to be able to stop the absolute amazing running attack by Ahmad Hardy in Missouri. Moving on to College Game Day on CBS is in Eugene, USC taking on Oregon. I'm going the Ducks for this one. Guess I'll go a couple key matchups here. Georgia Tech going against Pitt on ESPN at 7. I'm going to go Yellow Jackets here. I'm going to support the Buzz. Let's go sting them. And finally, BYU travels to Cincinnati up in noon kickoff at 8 p.m. on Fox. You know I got to go with the Cougars. Sorsby is going to be a tough challenge for the Cougars defense, but I'm sure we can do it. And that'll wrap up this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give this a big thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This is the Grizz signing off for now, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace, love, keep the Grizzly vibes with you at all times. Take care.